we see numbers decline in the state, there is a growing concern children getting COVID and how quickly they can spread the virus and not even know it, posing an even greater risk to their parents, siblings, or other relatives. A local widow sat down with CBS 12's Lily Ortiz after her husband, a father of 4, died of COVID. She believes it was a child who unknowingly infected her family.
Our family has changed forever.
For 32-year-old Sherica Dalloo of Boynton Beach, the emotional and physical toll of the coronavirus has just been horrific.
I'm a widow with 4 children that I have to raise, and my youngest is 3.
After 11 years of marriage, her devoted husband, David, died on August 28th after getting the disease and checking into JFK Medical Center. The father of 4 worked from home in an effort to protect his family from the virus.
Someone came to our home that was COVID positive. It actually was a child that brought it into our home.
She believes a 9-year-old child who was asymptomatic and showed no physical signs of COVID-like symptoms spread the virus to the family of 6. Everyone but Mr. Dalloo recovered.
It was just like surreal. He had to have surgeries and he had artificial lungs. He had to go on dialysis. He was in an induced coma. Then he went first he was on life support, then he went to an induced coma.
She's putting extra stress on the mask wearing and social distancing when relatives, friends, or children come over, which is recommended by medical experts even if you're vaccinated. She urges young adults not to dismiss the risk and to consider getting the vaccine as a number of pediatric cases rise.
I make sure when we know people are coming over, that I'm like, kids, put your mask on. You know, right now, everyone's visiting you. They're trying to see if you're okay. You guys have to be safe. At the end of the day, I don't want you guys to end up in a hospital. I don't want you to pass it on to another relative, maybe older, and then something like this happens to them.
Last week, more than 200,000 new pediatric cases were reported nationwide, more than 5 times higher than a month ago.
Us as parents, we have to do what's best for our children. You know, we have to make sure they're protected.
Well, as the pandemic rages on, today marked the end for practically all federal unemployment benefits. These were the stimulus dollars that helped thousands of Floridians survive as COVID ravaged our economy. But effective today, those checks have stopped. CBS 12's Jay O'Brien explains the impact that will have on the thousands of Floridians still counting on that money and what's next for employers still trying to hire workers. Jay?
Yeah, well, Liz, one of the reasons those programs are ending is because the federal government and the state of Florida, they both say that they want to try to fill remaining job openings that are out there. But pulling this money back won't come without consequences in an already flawed Florida unemployment system. Not everyone's idea of a holiday weekend. The federal government ending 2 pandemic-era programs that have paid an estimated $5.56 billion to out-of-work Floridians.
Their options are officially over.
State Rep Anna Escamani is now fielding calls from anxious constituents about to lose a lifeline.
So they're feeling really, really overwhelmed and stressed.
Governor Ron DeSantis' office, meanwhile, says these benefits are causing workers to leave small businesses in droves, favoring free government money. Florida's unemployment rate is low compared with other states whose economies are largely based on tourism. But the hospitality industry here is still at a fraction of what it was before the pandemic, and there are still businesses finding difficulty attracting workers. Owners of this Miami restaurant brought in a robot because no one else wanted the job.
We just don't have the staffing to fulfill the demand.
In downtown West Palm Beach, we found sign after sign marking help wanted, from pizza parlors to the post office. But Rep Escamani says the Floridians losing benefits this time around are those who, after months of searching, still haven't landed a job.
These are not folks that are lazy. These are folks that are doing everything right.
Please listen to additional options.
What isn't working right, Escamani says, is the state's unemployment system, where an unknown number of Floridians are still waiting on payments dating back months. Are we talking a lot of money in unpaid benefits here?
Yes, absolutely. And also complete lack of customer service.
Thank you for calling.
CBS 12 News first reported on that more than a year ago.
During this time of high call volume.
Floridians down on their luck
and then I hung up.
Unable to get anyone with the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity on the phone to answer basic questions about delayed unemployment payments. Escamani tells us that is still going on and making a difficult situation worse.
The problems with the unemployment system have been consistent. They've never stopped. Some of the most common issues we face.
We asked the Department of Economic Opportunity for comment on this story. We're waiting to hear back. Meanwhile, there's another big issue playing out here. It's fraud. The department is getting inundated with fraudulent claims, and experts say that's delaying payments to the thousands of Floridians who are genuinely out of work.
And a dentist in Palm Beach is restoring more than just smiles for a special portion of our population, and that makes him this week's hometown hero. Take a look. Of the hundreds of patients Dr. Mitchell Joseph sees every year, a handful are particularly special to him. They're Holocaust survivors who he treats free of charge.
I hope that they just don't feel left out, that they can't get dental care.
Dr. Josephs was inspired to help after hearing a Holocaust survivor speak to members of the Palm Beach synagogue. He says he found himself at the event by a stroke of luck.
I really was not going to go to that event that day, but my plans changed. And the way destiny worked out is I wound up by myself going to this woman's house in my neighborhood.
Left wondering about the dental needs of other Holocaust survivors, many of whom are struggling financially, Dr. Josephs took action. And for the last several years, he's been restoring smiles and confidence for these survivors by performing cosmetic and implant dental reconstruction at no cost.
He's a wonderful, I think it's 3 sessions. And all my 6 lower teeth was done. It was like like magic work, I never saw nothing like it.
Raisa Sokolovsky and her family survived the Holocaust by fleeing to Russia during World War II.
Like, here's a tooth that's getting a crown.
The 79-year-old says she can never repay Dr. Josephs for the life-changing gift he's given her.
I don't know even how to thank, because, it's nothing that's going to be enough to thank a person who did so much for you. This is unbelievable.
But the work is its own reward for Dr. Josephs, who sees patients like Raisa leave his office happier about how they look and feel.
If you can't chew and you can't chew the food small enough to the proper bolus that's for swallowing and for digestive purposes, you can get, well, first of all, you can definitely get overweight, but you could also get very sick. So I've seen people's health change from doing this kind of work. So it's been very rewarding.